Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to How to Present Your Services for Impact and More Revenue Without Being Salesy. I am Jason Price, Director at Large for your IAMCP Southern California chapter. And with me, I've got someone very special who's going to be taking up our time here to take us on this journey. She's got some surveys and activities for us to do. It is not something where you're just going to sit there and listen, bored out of your mind for an hour. You're going to be working. So let me introduce this person to you. She happens to be, I see somebody's trying to get in here. Let's admit them. Our special guest is the president of Windshore Media LLC and the founder of K. Hollingsworth Consulting, where she helps service-based businesses unlock growth through strategy, systems, and innovation. She has an award-winning sales career and over a decade of entrepreneurial leadership. She is a certified business consultant with the International Association of Small Business Consultants. She's a master practitioner of NLP, and that I'm going to have to put a little pin in that because that is very neuro-linguistic programming, very interesting. And she has taught meditation and mindfulness for over 20 years. She's got a diverse background, a unique ability to help leaders like those of you on this call here align your vision, execution, mindset, and communication strategies. Please join me in welcoming Krista Hollingsworth. Krista.
Hey, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. We're going to be talking about my favorite subject, which is sales, selling, how not to be weird, except in a good way. You should be weird, but only in a good way. Right, Ashley? Ashley knows. So I'm really glad you guys are here. You can see my screen okay, right?
Looks good.
Great. Let's get started. There's a lot of pinging going on. So how you read this slide is when things go from bad to, oh my God, to I think we can do this. Okay, that's how you read the slide. And this just happened recently. So I have a client that is an MSP, and we were, they've had a lot of issues, and we're climbing up the mountain, and things were just starting to get settled. We hired a virtual CIO. And about 2 weeks ago, her top engineer told us that she's going to work for their number one client. And that client represented about 75% of their total contribution to their total bottom line. So we were like, okay, this is serious. And we got on the phone with the CFO, had a conversation, got really curious instead of defensive, did a first pass on, how do you envision moving forward? Do you really want to build your whole IT stack in-house? Or are you going to do ServiceNow? And he was like, no, we don't want to do that. So we talked about co-management. Great. The first pass at the proposal was more than 55% reduction of our current pricing, and with month-to-month terms, which wasn't going to work. So we were able to negotiate with him and talk to the company about the value that we bring, and we were able to renegotiate the terms very quickly, and we reduced the value of the contract only by a third, and I'm confident that we're going to get it back up to where it was and surpass it. So this was unfortunate that it happened, but it was great that it happened right before our meeting today, because what I'm going to share with you is a proven process that I use to help close new clients, and then also help to reel things back in. And so I'm really excited to share this with you. So let me just tell you a little bit, what you're going to expect. Let me share that with you. What you can expect from today is Yes, and feel free to ask questions. You're a proven presentation strategy that will put your prospects and clients at ease, right? We talked about not being salesy and weird and off-putting. So you want to feel like you're having a conversation. We're going to talk about that. How to present using something called the 5 C's, which is proprietary. It's not something you're going to find on chat, at least not yet. Help you fall in love with selling, or at least respect it. If you're not going to love it, then maybe you can learn to like it. And then understand why revenue growth, sales and upsells, why they fail. This is just based on my experience, some of the mindset stuff that really gets in the way. So let me just tell you a little bit about my career, like just a little bit more. I started selling in the 90s, and I am wearing a pager. You're welcome. Okay, yes. As Jason already said, I started 3 consulting practices. I've helped my clients implement systems and processes that have 3x their top line revenue, helped one of my clients get on Inc. 5,000 list. They had 159% growth in 3 years, revenue growth. Helped one of my clients who is not an MSP increase their MRR from 6% of total gross sales to 25% in 120 days using the method that I'm going to show you. So we got some contracts up, raised rates, and we got some of her clients to sign on the dotted line, and we're on track to hit 60% by the end of December. So if you want to learn more, you can visit my website for case studies. And as Jason's already said, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We're going to be monitoring. I want you to get as much value as you can out of this. We are going to be doing surveys, and this is your way of participating. I'm going to do my best to tailor the conversation to who you are, you know, what challenges you're having. So if you could do that, that would be great. And I'm going to go fast. So if you can, you know, pay as much attention as possible, and that's how you will get the most out of it, because we only have a little bit less than, you know, 40 minutes. So again, I want you to get the most out of this. All right, so survey number 1, how you feel matters. And I'm going to move from here to here, and Jason will tell me if I'm doing it right or wrong.
Looks good.
And I'd love to see your responses. Put my glasses on.
Ashley's asking for the survey. I'm going to grab the link for this one as well and post it into.
Would you? Yeah, sorry about that. I moved too quickly. Can you see it there on the screen, Ashley? Sorry about that, you guys.
It's also in chat too.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like most of us so far are the business owner. Okay. Great. Just wait another minute. Now I know to not jam through that too quickly. Great.
On question 2, I'm that person that's at the 4, which means everybody else is a 5.
That's great. If you enjoy sales conversations, you just made my life a lot easier. You're going to get a lot of confirmation then, and your life as well. Okay, we'll wait one more minute. Okay. How much do you enjoy that's great, you guys. Love this question. Love the answers. That's great. And you can be honest. I don't know who this is, but If you don't enjoy it, that's okay. Let's see. Great. Love this. Okay. What motivates you more? Getting the sale. Nothing wrong with that. I like winning. So I love it when we're competing against someone. So that could be really fun. All right. And which statement? Sales is a necessary evil. Solving problems, helping clients succeed. Beautiful. This next part's going to be really easy. All right. Please continue to fill that out. And I am going to jump back to the presentation. All right. So since you guys have mastered the sales attitude, we'll go through this very quickly, and maybe to just be a gentle reminder or a confirmation on how to view sales. So sales is your growth engine. The most successful businesses that I've had the pleasure of working with all have this attitude that sales is their growth engine. Their salespeople are well compensated, they are well respected, and they have low turnover. One of the best organizations I worked with was a company called Vox. They've since sold. They had, outside of corporate sales, they had probably the best sales team I've ever had the pleasure of working with. Everyone was professional, they enjoyed what they did, and they were very well paid. Another one is the investment. So oftentimes when businesses aren't growing, we can look at the investment. When we go into an organization and say, well, let's just look at, are you investing enough in your sales and marketing engine? If you want to grow your business 20% over last year and you've invested and you're bootstrapping your sales and marketing budget and spending $1,000, that's not going to get you to where you want to go. So it's something to consider. Remember, you want to think about that return on the investment. If you hire a salespeople, because I did see that some of you are working with sales folks, you want to make sure that after they're all in, you're paying them maybe, $150,000, $200,000 all in a year. That's with commission, that you're getting 3 to 5 times of what you paid them. Okay, so you don't want to hold on to salespeople that aren't performing, but you want to make sure that they're well compensated, you're investing, and then you're getting that return on investment. So that's just a nice rule of thumb. And you guys are already doing this. You enjoy serving your customers. Believe it or not, I have clients who complain a lot about their customers, and that creates tension in the sales process. It makes it really hard to have a conversation with someone that you don't like or respect. Yeah? Yeah, I can feel the yeses. All right, let's do survey number 2. I will give you another moment. And this one is on storytelling ability and sales maturity. I'd love to hear from you about this. Okay. Does anybody need the link, or are you okay with the QR code? Okay. Righty. So far we have, good, we have a repeatable sales process. Do you track your sales rate? Good. Benchmark, below benchmark. Okay, that's good. Good. I should have added, can you easily articulate your value proposition? You know who your competitors are. Good. Your products or services are better than, do you know why your products and services are better than your competitors? Good. On a scale of 1 to 5, how comfortable are you hearing no? Okay. Most people don't enjoy hearing no or losing a deal. You might want to roll into the fetal position. So let me ask you this, you guys, and you can put it in the chat. You can open up your mic, or can they unmute themselves if they need to? So
let us know, raise your hand and we'll unmute.
Okay. If you want, where do you feel like you're struggling in the sales process or in any of this? Because right now these answers are, you guys seem like you're on top of things, or you're just looking for, next level kind of stuff. What is it that you are hoping to get from this conversation? I don't want to take you down a road that you've already been down. I'll just give you a couple of minutes because I'm here for you.
While you're waiting, there's a really good question in here from Fred.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I'm going to read Fred's question. When a client is investing in you to provide service, they are buying an outcome. What are the best methods or metrics to communicate your accountability factor through the sales process once the service begins? That's an excellent question. And in fact, part of the presentation is going to communicate just that. Beautiful. Okay. We're going to be talking about how to deliver QBRs and why it's important for the salesperson to actually be part of that process, not just to be, here you go, and hand everybody off. Okay. Excellent. Is there anything else? Fred speaking for the group. I like it. All right. Okay. Here we go. I like Canva.
There is another question that came in, by the way.
Oh, okay. How long are you supposed to reach out to prospects? And working with MSPs, sometimes the business development person does not reach out to them after a few emails, etc. How do you motivate sales team, i.e. QBRs? So those are also excellent questions. I think both are in the QBR section that I will address. And that's a really good question. I usually will follow up with, sometimes a business development person does not reach out to them after a few emails, etc. I think the question is really about being ghosted, which is, again, another no question. People don't like to be ghosted. And so you can, if in the sales process, so we're not talking about lead generation, but in the sales process, you shouldn't be ghosted if you follow what I'm going to share with you, to be honest with you. They will get back to you because I'm going to teach you how to have a conversation. So it's likely that they haven't built enough rapport with the individual for the individual to be comfortable enough to say, we just can't meet the terms. We don't have the budget. We're not doing it at this time, and we're going with another company. So I would think about those things rather than just the frequency, but a general rule of thumb is at least 5 times if you just wanted a real general rule of thumb. But to me, this is a question about rapport. Okay, let's talk about the 5 C's. So the 5 C's are: every touch point must communicate confidence, competence, curiosity, and care. I want you guys to remember this. People buy confidence all day long. So when you're talking about value proposition, not arrogance, but your ability to be confident in communicating that you can solve someone's problem. Your confidence, which I love that you all have a high level of confidence in the service that you provide. You have a high level of confidence in your team. That is the process that you take people through. When you take them through your sales process, helps to instill confidence, and that helps to instill trust. And this is what I mean about building rapport. Competence. A good sales process will demonstrate competence, especially to a prospective client who has not yet worked with your company. I don't know if you guys have ever had the experience where you work with someone, or you're reaching out to a vendor and the salesperson doesn't get back to you, or they're annoying, or they're just kind of flaky. And it makes you wonder if this is what their sales process is like. I wonder what working with them is going to be like. We have said no to vendors because that touch point, that first touch point, that second touch point was not, wasn't great. You know, it didn't demonstrate competence. It didn't give us confidence in what they were selling. So you want to make sure that everything that you're doing is demonstrating a good, smooth process. You know, curiosity, and I would love to hear from you guys in the chat, because I think almost all of you are salespeople, not just learning about sales. For me, curiosity is the magic trick to getting somebody to talk to you about what their pain points are. You know, I'm curious about the MSP that you worked with before. What was that like? I'm curious about where your business is going. You know, how has it been for you in the last year or two? You know, considering everything, using curiosity either on the nose and saying I'm curious, or just leaning in and being genuinely curious will open up the doors for you. And it helps people to relax into the conversation, because you're not selling to them. You're trying to understand what their needs are, so that, because you need to determine if they're a match for you, if they're even a client that is worth going after and pursuing, because you have to, you know, it's an investment of your time. So curiosity will help you to relax into it. And this is my favorite, care. So there's two levels. Do you have empathy? Empathy for the prospective client and also for the client will help you to put yourself in their position, and it will help you to anticipate objections. So oftentimes before we do any sales calls, whenever I'm coaching or I'm working with a client, we role play. Just let's talk about potential objections and how might we handle it. We think they might have a little bit of over the pricing. What are we willing to negotiate if they do? And we have those conversations ahead of time, because we've had enough time with the client. I'm going to talk to you about this process where we understand where some of their pain points might be. And this makes you more powerful in the negotiation process, and it will help to increase your close rate. The other one is you care about their business goals. You know, you care about, you know, where they're headed. Do you want to partner? If you're just selling something that's like a boom, boom project and you're done, they still may come back to you if you really understand what their business goals are. It might be a cycle for you to come back in a year or 18 months to check out where they are. So you want to care about where they're headed so that you're a good partner and you've positioned yourself that way. Okay. So this is my secret to sales success. Qualify twice. Really easy. So the first qualification is to know your minimum engagement. Okay, so if you're an MSP, you might say, okay, we only deal with environments that have 20 to 200 users. Somebody comes to you and say, we have somebody that with 10 users. You're an IAMCP, you can make a great referral. So that's the first qualification. Are they even going to be the right fit? You can do this online, you know, they can fill out a form. I actually had an experience where we were looking for a vendor for a security product, and we filled out their form. I talked to the salesperson, really nice. And after we told him about our size and what we were looking for, he very gently said, you know, our service is for companies that have a minimum of X number of employees. And he very nicely told me, we can't help you. And so he qualified me before passing him on to the business development person. And he did it in such a lovely way that when we get to the size where they can service us, then that's a vendor I would actually go back to. So don't be afraid to say no. The second qualification is the most important conversation you're going to have in the sales process. This is where you're going to do something called listening and mirroring. So I did see that a lot of us are business owners and doing the selling. And oftentimes, and I say this with love, the business owners, because you guys are so confident and you know your product, there might be a tendency to talk too much and not listen enough. And So listening and mirroring is repeating back what you've heard the client say. So tell me about your last experience with this last client, the MSP that you've had, or your last custom software development project, or your last AI project that you've had. We'll use Manish as an example. Tell me about your last AI project. How was that implemented? Well, it was really terrible. Things didn't go well. Everything fell through, so on and so forth. So then you mirror back. So what I'm hearing is that the company that you contracted with didn't have great processes in place to help you succeed. That's exactly right. So do you understand what I mean about the mirroring? If we were in person, we could do role play on this and it would be a lot of fun, because I have to tell you, as a mindfulness teacher, when I ask people to please repeat back what I've said, what they've heard is not at all what I said. So we have to go through it a couple of times. This takes practice and it will improve every relationship you have. So get curious. So I'm really would love to know if you can just put it in the chat. What turns of phrase do you use to have someone open up to you in that qualification process? How do you get them to tell you their pain points? I would really love to know. Be great to share.
While they're typing that up, I can contribute.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I came from the Yahoo sales solution selling. And so
Mhm.
there it was, you would march in and everybody would have their decks. But before you even get there, it is how are you doing? What is keeping you up at night?
Mhm.
Just what are the problems that are going on in your world? You were asking me as we were getting ready in this green room, hey, how are things going with you? Just the perfect opening. And I think
Yeah.
Manish hit it too. How are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yep. How did you start doing things this way? Oh, I love that, because that really gets into process. That's a great one. I see some more people typing. I would write some of these down. If you're not, I know we're recording, so we'll have it, but these are great openers. I'm not a big fan of having a bunch of sayings and things in your pocket. I'm really interested in people being relaxed and authentic. And so I like to say, I'm really curious, how are you doing? So you might just find a couple, you might find one or two that really works for you. What are your pain points? What's most important to you? So practice on what feels natural and something that you would say to a friend. All right. So why do you need this now? I love that one. I love all of these. These are good. So this second qualification is so important, because this is the story that you are going to weave through your proposal. Okay. So this is the story that you're going to weave. This is how you're going to get more revenue, and you're going to improve your close rate. If it's not already fabulous, it will be even better. So this is a stripped down proposal template. It was from a client of mine. I'm going to show you two versions. They're ugly. And like I said, they're drafts. They're not drafts, they're actual, but I pulled some stuff out of here. But it will give you the idea of how to talk about your services, how to present value, and also how to not shy away from the money conversation. So I always start with a table of contents. So depending on who I'm selling to, we will do it in a presentation format, like in a PowerPoint, or I will put it in a more contract and still run through the contract with them. We used to do it where we give them the contract and then give them the presentation, and people would get confused. So it's one or the other, and you really need to use your discretion. So the summary is where you put what you've heard. And when you are doing a sales, like a presentation, so Richard, you're a client, and you're my prospective client. And so we're meeting online, and I sent you the proposal about the day before. You did say that you read it, but I'm going to read you the summary anyway. And I know that this will feel awkward. Now, remember when I told you the client that went to the engineer that went to the biggest client, they thought they had us over a barrel because they knew they were our biggest client and thought that they could get a lot of services for nothing. This is the method that I use to help to reel them back in and really talk about value and talk about their needs. Okay. So you would read it to them. And this is the part: co-managed services will provide you with the flexibility you require while maintaining superior service levels for your users and added expert support for your in-house team. Co-managed services will also offer pricing flexibility, making it a more affordable option than building and managing your entire IT stack in-house. So what did you guys hear just in that paragraph? You can put it in the chat. So one of the things that I did was positioning. Yep. The positioning. Okay. So I'm addressing their issue, but then I'm positioning that this is a more affordable option. And you've said that price is an issue. Your primary concerns are user support for basic issue, weekend support for your user, on-site support as needed. Okay. So this is the level set. This is where you stop the client and you say, did I cover everything? Did I leave everything out? Are we in agreement that this is where we're going? A few times I actually had someone say, actually, we forgot to tell you about this whole other system that needs to be supported. And we didn't include it when we had our initial conversation and scoping. So now I know I'm going to have to go back, talk to them again, and add it into the proposal. And I will remind you that if you are selling anything that is expensive or complex, you're going to have a longer sales cycle. So the idea that you're going to try and close someone the first time and you're asking for a $200,000, whatever, monthly management deal is not going to happen. Usually, sometimes it happens, but generally you're going to have to do this, do it again and again. So listening on that second qualification and weaving it into your proposal will help the person feel heard. Okay. Here's another one. I won't read through it all, but when I went through this is a different format. Your primary goals for the organization are reimagining your service packages and increasing sales, improving your sales process and client retention strategies, scaling the organization, improving the overall profitability. Talking to them, telling her what I heard about what she said about her client, about her business, is all in this letter. And again, stop. Or is this good? Are we on the same page? Did I leave anything out? No, Krista, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So don't be uncomfortable, because the level set and the summary in the presentation process sets the tone and keeps you in control of the conversation. Okay, so if you ever have that feeling where you lose control of the sales conversation and the prospect or the client is running all over you, it's because you need to level set. And don't assume that they know why they're there. Most people don't. We talked about NLP, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this matrix. There's like why people and what people and how people. It's how people think. Some people want to know why. Even if you told them why, you're joining this because you're going to learn about sales. The why people still need to know why we're here. They need to be told why we're here, or you'll lose them. The what people want to know, like, well, what are we going to do once we're here? How are we going to do it? And then there are the question people. So everybody needs to be told why again. All right. The second page, going back to the first one, is your about. Even if it's a client, you want to put something about yourself and put a testimonial. Okay. Again, this is really gentle positioning. It's not salesy. We used to put our net promoter score in this section for another MSP that I worked for, and we could really have a nice conversation with them about customer service, especially if service was really really important. Yeah, value prop. So in the table, you want to go through the scope of services. Obviously, there's some other stuff that you can put in there. I know a lot of us are using those pre-made proposal templates. It's fine, but please, rework them so that they tell the story of what the client said their pain point is. If you're just putting a contract in front of them without affirming the story of what their pain is and how you're going to solve it, it's going to be harder than doing it this way. You will increase your close rate here. When you do price, how are you guys with comfortable silence? This is my favorite technique, right? When you remember, we talked about confidence, communicate confidence, competence, right? Care, curiosity. When you present your pricing, be confident. 220 users, $50 a user, $20,000 a month. Tier 1, Tier 2 technician, 20 hours. Unit price would be $150, $3,000. You're all in. Monthly price is $23,000. Now, before I went through all the services and everything that they were getting, I level set on what their issue is. I've given them proof on how we've been able to help other clients. We have the testimonials. Now we get down to the money and the terms. If you are confident and you say this to them confidently, because some people just say, okay, well, here, look at it, and then call me if it's okay. Talk to them about this, walk them through it, sit back, say nothing. Let them digest it. The people who have read the proposal before they're coming to negotiate with you, generally. Some people will say, you know what, this looks good, but we can't do a 2-year term. Can you give us better terms on that? That'd be great. The people that hadn't read it and they're reading it for the first time, they need a minute, and you really need to be silent. And if you can stand it, let them speak first. And if the silence stretches for a couple of minutes, it's really okay. How are you guys doing? Good? Okay. This is good stuff, you guys. All right. Survey number 3, last survey, and then I'll take any other questions that you have, and I think we'll be able to get to Fred's question and the other question about QBRs. Please, please, please participate. Okay, do we all have it? Oops. Oh, you guys are fast. Good. Do you track your client retention or churn rate? Okay, good. Okay. Benchmark. Okay. 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 Really, really good. So 60 to 80% of your revenue will come from your current clients. They are the bedrock of this for the stability of the business. 60 to 80%, depending. So that 80-20, it's really weird. It's based on a statistical algorithm, but 20% of your clients produce 80% of your revenue. Okay, so your top 20%, and generally what people find when they do that 80-20, one, it's always 20% produces the 80% almost invariably. It's remarkable, is that the clients that they spend the most time on are the ones that aren't the most profitable. So there's another really good reason, you guys, for doing the 80-20. It doesn't take a long time to do it. You probably have something already in your software to be able to help you calculate some of this stuff. But when you understand who your top clients are, you want to do what's called a call cycle for your current clients. So you see your top clients should be touched at least quarterly. Some of your other clients should be touched, maybe once or twice a year. So then you can spread it out for them to be able to give them a review. And I'm going to walk you through the client retention strategy. This is where I'm going to tell you, I'm giving you all my secrets. I can guarantee 90 days you're going to have more revenue because I go and do upselling to your current clients, like helping that client go from 6%. Imagine it was really hard for her to predict what was going to happen in the business next because only 6% of her clients had a contract for monthly recurring revenue. Within 120 days, because we had to create the processes to do it, and I taught her how to present, she got it up to 25%. What a relief. You guys are, a lot of you are MSPs. You know what a relief it is to have 60%, 65% MRR and the rest coming in as projects, right? So this is where a lot of businesses have this start-stop, is in the client retention space. They get a new client and they lose 2 clients. They lose clients to other people, to other MSPs that really want your client's business, and they want to knock you out of the seat. And they will if they can, if you give them the opportunity. But a great client is an educated client. A great client understands what you do and why you do it. They understand the value that you bring. So I'm totally in love with the client retention process. It is money. You have money on the table, most of us, with our current clients. Okay. So customer retention, level set. You're going to hear me say it again. I'm going to just walk you through what a QBR should look like, and then I'm going to show you a draft of a QBR. Relevant data. So let me go back on the level set. So when you do the level set, most of you said that you haven't done a QBR regularly. So when you do the level set, you want to tell your customer what services they're buying from you. You would be amazed. They may think that you're doing something that you haven't done for them ever. And it's really good to have that conversation and say, this is the package that you have currently. Are we in agreement? Because you're not getting 24/7 help desk, all the time, and then weekend support for free. That's not happening. So, but this is what you're getting. If you have had a QBR in the last, in the recent past with them, you might want to include the level set, this is what we discussed last time, and this is where we are right now. So again, it's just putting that, we're also distracted. They're not going to remember. Relevant data, scorecards, again, highlighting your value proposition. What are you bringing to the table for them? Now, remember, this is about not being salesy. So you're giving them valuable information. You can highlight areas for improvement during this time. This is where you're going to get the upsell. You're going to highlight areas of concern, that you have, you got users that, aren't calling the help desk, or, we found these kinds of holes in your environment. You have, you have automation processes that aren't working properly. And this is what our assessment, or this is what we found. And we have, there are some real concerns because you're losing money. I think one of the things that people or MSPs have an issue with is they say, well, you're not secure. You got to put $1 to that and say, Jason's great at this. We did the analysis. And if you don't implement this automation, you're losing, $10,000 or $50,000 a month, in revenue, in real revenue that's back to your bottom line. Your client will thank you. If you point out an area where they're losing money, maybe their electric bills are really high because they have something that's not working properly. If possible, include benchmarks. Your clients love to know how they stand compared to their competition. So if you are a master in a vertical, so let's say you master the manufacturing vertical, you have a lot of information, inside knowledge and data about manufacturing companies. And so as you're telling them, hey, by the way, your competitors they don't really have any security, or they don't have this, but you do, you're doing better than your competitors in this space. So you can they love the benchmarks. So if you're in a vertical, you want to include the benchmarking data, projects on deck, business objectives. This is an opportunity for you to talk about their business objectives. I know we're getting short, we're done on time. Sorry. I'll just show this. If you guys just hang with me another few minutes. You can talk about the budget, new services, schedule a follow-up. I'll just walk you through this. Table of contents, I'm happy to give this to you. Level set on the services, right? So these are the services that you have. This is an ugly slide, but this is what your environment looks like. These are some of the concerns that we have. These are the holes. These are the project wins. These are the projects on deck. You can give a budget at this time, and then you ask them, how are we doing? I know I went by really fast. It was a lot of information, but you ask them, how are we doing? This is my favorite question, you guys. Is there anything that I forgot to ask you? Is there anything I should know? And this is how we found out this other client had to be SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. And that's what gave us the in for more security sales. It's like, we can help you with your SOC 2 Type 2 compliance. If we wouldn't have had the QBR, they would have gone somewhere else for SOC 2 Type 2 because they didn't know that we had the capability of doing that. So this makes you really sticky. We did it. Okay, or we went a little bit over. Can we stay a few more minutes? I'm happy to stay, Jason. I don't know if you have to go, if you guys have more questions.
I do not have a rush. We need to go back to Fred's questions, Richard's question.
Yep.
And then I can contribute too.
Yes, please.
All right. Fred's question about buying outcomes, the methods and metrics to communicate accountability factor.
Missing that. Why did this even you're buying it? Okay. So just so I'm clear, Fred, and let me know if I'm on the right track here. So
we find Fred.
Yeah.
He had to leave.
Oh, he did. Okay.
I can't unmute him if he ain't here.
Yeah, I know. So what do you think he's asking for? Because I'm not sure I understand the question.
So I think when a client first meets you, they want everybody saying, yeah, we can do this. Yes. But how do you show kind of almost your failure rate is really low when nobody wants to bring that kind of metric forward?
That's a great way of looking at it. So one of the things that we'll do, so we have net promoter scores, or we did at the other company. The net promoter score should not be 100%. So when you show some kind of metric like that, or so we would show that metric and we would say anybody that a user that reported an 8 or under gets a phone call from our COO so we can make it right. And that was really impressive, and it was true. We didn't make it up. Again, I really believe having a solid process where you follow up when you say, so somebody said, I like the follow-up in the letter. I'm going to follow up with you on this date. Actually, in the conversation, you say, I'm going to follow up with you on this date. Can we set an appointment now? So you do what you say you're going to do, and that also helps with accountability. If the sales team is showing up when they say they're going to show up and they're professional, it gives them a lot of confidence. I think the terms too sometimes. Yeah.
I think that directly relates to Richard's question too. How do you motivate sales teams, especially around QBRs?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. It depends on how they're being compensated. So if they're going to be compensated for the for any upsells, for client retention, that's the best way to motivate them. If the sales team isn't going to be compensated, they're not going to show up. There's no reason for them to maintain the client after a year. If the contract is the life of the client and they get a commission, which it shouldn't be, but let's just say it is, then they would be motivated to show up. So it's about motivating them, I think, with a reward. Otherwise, it's
Agreed.
going to be your service delivery team that does the QBRs.
Well, hey, once your sales team sees how the service team is upselling, maybe that's motivation right there for them to negotiate.
For sure.
uh,
Well, the other thing is that your service team aren't salespeople. And even though we talk about not to be salesy, your salespeople still, they know the client, they have good relationships. They'll ask the question from another point of view. They may get a little bit more information in addition to, like that, the business question at the end of the QBR is a great opportunity for more sales for everybody. So, anyways, that's what I would say to that.
okay. I'm going to allow Richard's microphone. He had a great comment here just a
Oh,
moment
yep.
before. So I don't know if he wants to read that or pile on to it.
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody.
Hey,
I
Hi.
just put something in the chat at the very end about QBRs. I think if you can't explain to the CEO or the COO who's writing the checks, paying the bills, your value, right? It's an uphill battle trying to get a renewal. You can have great interaction, you know, how you're doing with what you guys are selling, right, as a product. But if you can't articulate, to the person that's going to be signing off on the renewal, it can be a challenge. And this kind of dovetail into having the QBRs with
Mm-hmm.
decision makers. So
Mm-hmm.
you're constantly putting what you're doing in front of them, right? And
Mm-hmm.
explaining what the benefit is. Because oftentimes the people who are making this just want to know two things, right? What am I paying for? How much does it
Yeah.
cost? And what am I
Yep.
getting into it? So.
Yep. No, you're 100% right. And a lot of business owners are hesitant to get in front of the CEO and the COO or the CFO. And sometimes those folks, they're not technical. So when you craft your QBR and you're putting in these reports, again, that's storytelling. You have to contextualize them so that they're meaningful to the CEO. So if you know what's important to them, then you can add that into the QBR. We know that you have SOC 2 Type 2 compliance coming up because you want to grow the company and you want to go and grow in this direction. This is what we have on deck for you, and this is what we suggest. And then you set up a time to follow up with them if they agree that they would like to see the plan. You will have clients so happy if they get somebody to approach them to be an MSP. They don't want to untangle themselves from you because, Richard, to your point, you've proved too much value. Mm-hmm.
there's another player here at the table, silent partner here, and that's Microsoft. What we used to do at Yahoo and what we were doing at Firm Below back is just go to the roadmap and just pull what's coming up in the next 3 months and put that in a table, in a slide in your QBR and say, Microsoft's throwing all this at you. Do you have the technical capability to implement it? Do you have the adoption to be able to enable your people on it? And that was driving the ask then from the customer to say, oh, gosh, do you have that? Do you know somebody who does it?
Yeah, love it. Love it. So my last slide, you guys, if you can stand it, this is just for you. if you have a QBR, you have a sales process, and you just want another set of eyes on it, just for IAMCP people only, I'm giving away a free 45-minute session. So, and I'll be happy to look it over. If you think that there's some sensitive data, we can sign a mutual NDA if that makes you feel comfortable. So, but a real, strategy session to help you win more business. So.
And I would say definitely address that to Manish, because his comment was we should do another session on QBRs, 30 minutes talk and 30 minutes Q&A to learn from each other. Just
that would be
proof of
great.
A, what you're doing today, and B, the need for us to kind of internalize it.
I love that idea. I love it. You guys are welcome.
And here come the thank yous.
Yay. Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. This is like my favorite stuff. You guys are so awesome. Who's going to ignite? We are. Nice. Okay.
Lucky.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah. All right.
If we can get a plane there, we'll see. So.
I know. Oh gosh, I know, right?
Right.
Well, I guess you can drive. Might be better off driving.
Yeah, we'll see. Great session. Thanks, Krista.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, you guys.
I'll put a summary together, get it out to everybody, and see you guys at the next IAMCP meeting, December 4.
See you there. Bye, you guys.
Cheers.